The Pokemon Company recently announced their top 3 picks for the 2024 Pokemon Art Contest. Now that they've released this, I can finally talk about the contest. I entered 3 submissions. Sadly, none of them were picked. However, in this video, I want to show you the Pokemon that I chose to draw, what I created, the submissions from the top 300 that I would love as actual cards, and the top 3 cards that won. Going back towards the end of 2023, the Pokemon Company announced that they were holding their Pokemon Art Contest again. I saw the announcement and thought, given that I like to collect Pokemon cards and that I'm an artist myself, why not enter? So I looked up the rules to see what I needed to do to be able to enter. The rules for the contest were simple. You needed to live within one of the following countries and be at least 18 years old. Each artist could select up to 3 different Pokemon from a list of 10 Pokemon provided. Create up to 3 different illustrations, either a standard card size or an EX card size, and submit each piece by January 31st, 2024. For my pieces, I selected 3 different Pokemon and decided to go with the standard card size. At this point, you may be asking yourself, what were the 10 Pokemon artists could choose from for their illustrations? Well, the 10 Pokemon selected for the contest were Charizard, Pikachu, Eevee, Feraligatr, Flygon, Absol, Bidoof, Melmetal, Amped Form, Toxtricity, and Koraidon. It was hard for me to choose what Pokemon to draw because I like most of the Pokemon selected for the contest. However, the 3 I ended up choosing were Pikachu, because my mom loves collecting Pikachu cards, and I thought it'd be really cool to have a card I created in her collection. Eevee, because who doesn't like Eevee? And Flygon, because I've loved Flygon ever since I was a kid. For my first illustration, I drew Pikachu. Here is my initial sketch. The theme I was going for was a Pika picnic, where Pikachu is hosting a picnic with my favorite Pikachu lookalikes. There are some improvements I would make now, but given that I'd never done digital art before, I think it came out pretty good. This piece was really fun because I thought it reflected how each of these Pokemon would interact, given the chance to be invited by a Pikachu to a picnic. For my second piece, I chose Eevee. Here's my initial sketch. I tried to base this piece off the Umbreon V alternate art from Evolving Skies. This alt art captures Umbreon looking down on other dark Pokemon, almost as if challenging them to face him. I really like this alternate art, and that's why I used it as inspiration for my piece. An Easter egg that I added to this piece are all the things I drew in the window. If you zoom in, you can see all these fun little items that would belong in the world of Pokemon, such as this Pikachu themed purse and this Oddish themed planter. Something else I added were these ribbons. In the game, you can enter your Pokemon into different pageants, and if you do well enough, you earn different ribbons, like these ones. I really love how this piece turned out, from how fluffy and serious Eevee looks, to the grain of the brick, and to the Umbreon reflecting an Eevee's shadow. For my third piece, I chose Flygon. I did something a little different for this piece. I've always thought Flygon was this super epic desert dragon, but the games and merch never really reflected this. I wanted my piece to reflect how an old civilization would idolize this powerful Pokemon. There's some cool details in this piece I want to point out. The circle represents the sun, and the star in the center of the circle is actually the shape of Trapinch's eye. Next are these Pokemon around the sun. These are actually pre-evolutions of Flygon, Trapinch and Vibrava. I really like how this piece turned out. I even had one of my friends saying it would look really cool as a tapestry. Now that I've shown you my submissions, I want to show you some of the submissions from the top 300. I know that there's other channels out there that have talked about the fact that some of the pieces look AI generated, but that's not what I want to highlight in this video. What I want to show you are some of the pieces that I think would look really cool as actual cards in my collection. First up are the Absol submissions. I like this one here with the Articuno in the background. It's a nice little detail. This watercolor one is really interesting. This one's really cool. I love this contrasting purple highlight that they have here across the sky. And these little Odyssers in the background. They're very cute. This one has a similar style to some of the cards that currently exist. Lastly, these 3 are really interesting. The last one here has a similar theme to what I was trying to go for with my Flygon submission. Having the shadow of Absol project against the cave wall is a really cool detail. From the Eevee submissions, there was a number of good looking illustrations, like this one. Okay, this piece is one of my favorite submissions. I love the way that the artist Takekazu illustrated it. All the lines are clean, the use of the Pokemon's base color as the outline color, along with all the evolutions that are in the background. Out of all the submissions, I think this one's my favorite. The illustration is just really well done, and you can see how much fun the artist had making this piece. I'm definitely going to use this piece as a reference to help improve my own art. Some of the Fraligator pieces were really interesting, like this one, and this one. This piece looks fluffy, almost as if the Fraligator is a plushie. Some of the Koraidon pieces that I found interesting were this one, and this one. This illustration is my second favorite out of all the submissions, and again would love to have it as a card in my collection. This submission really stood out to me in comparison to the other pieces. The other submissions focused on how powerful this Pokemon was by drawing it in these epic and dynamic poses, while this submission focused on more of Koraidon's playful side. This illustration reads really well. Your eyes instantly lock onto the Caterpie and Koraidon. I'm not really the biggest fan of Toxtricity, but two submissions that really stood out to me were this one and this one. I like how in both pieces, it focuses on a different aspect of Toxtricity's life. The graffiti in the background is really cool, and the shading looks really nice as well. In this one, I like how Toxtricity is giving Morpeko and other Pokemon a mini concert. From the Pikachu submissions, there were a couple that I found really interesting. Starting off with this piece. This one was interesting because it has that Pokemon Soda Pop theme. This one I found funny because I could see it as an actual card in the Pokemon Scarlet Violet series. The coloring on this one was really interesting. And this last one had a very similar picnic theme as mine. I'm also not the biggest fan of Bidoof, but there were some submissions that were really funny, such as this one. I think out of all the Bidoof submissions, this one's my favorite. There were a number of really good Flygon submissions, such as this one. The colorization and the background is just so cool. Along with this one, I really like how dynamic this piece is, with all the Flygons in different poses mid-flight. However, my favorite Flygon submission, and the third illustration in my top 3, is this piece by Seta. This piece is really clean. The colors, along with the shading, are just really well done. I love the different reactions from the Trapinches and the Cacnea in the background, as Flygon's flying away. I also love how the artist drew the dust cloud. It not only focuses your gaze, but it also shows you how fast and strong this Flygon took off. Last but not least, I thought this piece was really different and really cool. For Melmetal, I personally didn't know what to draw, but from the submissions, there were some really interesting pieces. Like this one. My friend liked how abstract it was. He also liked this piece, because he thought it looked really cool as a holo card. The last piece my friend liked was this one. He thought it was really cool how all the Meltans were combining to make the Melmetal. There were a number of really good Charizard submissions, but the two that I liked the most were these two. I like how in this first one, it looks like an old image from a past battle. From the EX cards, the one that I think has the best chance of winning is this one. The submission's just really cool, and the illustration's really clean. And with that, that's the top 300. Now, let's see the final results for the contest. From the 10,830 entries, the grand prize goes to Kazuki Minami with a Pikachu illustration. Minami comments that the inspiration for this piece was their dog, and so the grand prize belongs to their dog. The winner for the best standard card illustration goes to Akoviart with an illustration of Fraligator. Akoviart comments that they wanted to depict a moment of calm for this fierce Pokemon, and this illustration does a really good job of showing this. For the best EX illustration, the winner is Anderson with an illustration of Ampform Toxtricity. Anderson comments that they've loved Pokemon since they were a kid, and that Toxtricity jumped out of their memories and out of the frame for this illustration. And with that, those are the winners for the Pokemon Art Contest 2024. I cannot wait to see these illustrations become actual cards. Let me know in the comments below which illustration was your favorite and which ones you would love to see as actual cards. Until next time, peace.